Welcome to the weekend roundup. Sorry, it's Wednesday. We had a very busy day yesterday. Lev had a real busy day. I had a very busy day. We're happy to decamp the weekend with you because what the weekend did was it gave birth to a bunch of shit that we need to get to today. That is Lev Parnas. Lev remembers. Pardon for my voice. A little allergic reaction yesterday, so I sound like Barry White. So you're gonna have to bear with me. And if you like it, congratulations. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Very smoky. But listen, we have the makings, according to the Trump White House, which is run by pathological liars, of a Ukraine Russia peace deal. And the only person on the planet who knows what's going on both sides is right here. Make sure you subscribe to Lev Remembers, Lev Parnas, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, love the green tea conversation, but let's talk about this Ukraine peace plan that the White House is like, hey, we're going to bring Zelensky here for Thanksgiving. It's a done deal. We got it all cooked up. And not only do we have it cooked up, but forget about the fact that we laundered a Kremlin demand list for surrender. Forget about all that stuff. We've fixed everything. And by Thanksgiving, all will be right with the world. Lev, what are you hearing? Because I know what you're hearing, and I think people need to know about it.
I don't know. I tell you honestly, I don't know if it's the media that is just off the rails. If it's, I know the Trump administration's off the rails. I don't know if it's a combination, but watching this, and I wrote in my Substack letter today. Basically, you're watching them get the panels ready again. The experts are coming up there, the same faces. Everybody got the makeup going, and they got their books behind them, telling them, all of this stuff going, the propaganda. And here they are again. We're right back. Here we are. We're in the most crucial point of our time because right now, I think we have, Ukraine has accepted a deal. Ukraine has accepted the deal. You know what? I would, if I wasn't a gentleman and we didn't have a lot, I would tell you what deal. First of all, let's assume Ukraine accepted the deal. How about this? Ukraine has accepted so many deals. Ukraine has accepted everything Trump has thrown at them. Ukraine has accepted giving them minerals. Ukraine accepted them even though Ukraine's accepted everything. What choice? Russia has accepted a deal. So I don't know what the breaking news is. I don't know why it's such, that all of a sudden, look, this is all theatrics, folks. We've been watching it over and over. Those of you that have been following us and been watching us for the past 6 months since I've joined Substack, the very first thing, and I ask of you and I beg of you because I like one of the things that gives my platform, my voice, the strength, is I bring the receipts. And with this platform, Substack, it's incredible because you're able to you document and see when and what was said. And literally 6 months ago, April or May, when I joined, when my son brought me onto this platform, the first thing I said to everybody, and I said, please watch these three names: Kirill Dmitriev, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner. And I said, you will see that these are the three names that have been dealing, working, and putting together everything you're seeing play out with not only the Middle East, but also with Russia, with Ukraine, with everything else going on. And a lot of people started, especially the media, oh, Kushner's already out. You don't hear him. He's not around. Witkoff is, trying to figure out why Witkoff's even in the plan. I've wrote about it and I've spoke about it. This goes back to these three individuals joined forces and where? Saudi Arabia. That's another, just how you come in.
That's where they cooked this up, was in Saudi Arabia. It wasn't in, because listen, Dmitriev, Lavrov, they're mentioning that they will only sign the agreement they agreed to in Alaska with the Trump regime, which is a whole other topic I want to get to.
Yeah, we got that. We'll get to that. I'm taking the first relationship started.
Oh, okay,
First
all right.
time Jared Kushner met Kirill Dmitriev, and Jared Kushner were in Saudi Arabia in 2017. It was during a financial forum. At that time, Dmitriev, if you on his cover, is not Putin's right hand. They call him. He runs the Russian Sovereign Wealth Fund.
Hmm.
and that's why they were there, and that's when the Saudis worked out and eventually gave the $2 billion to Jared Kushner. But that's where they made the relationship. Witkoff was on Kushner's, bandwagon. You didn't hear too much of him in the first administration, but he's been around with the family for many, many years. He used to be Trump's lawyer. Then he, eventually
Became a
started.
real estate pal. Yeah,
Became real estate, became a billionaire of his own right. But he's been loyal and close to the family. But also, Witkoff also went through the real estate era of the 90s when all of this Russian oligarchy and one of all this Russian money flowed through New York real estate. But we talk about Trump. But
makes sense.
you don't talk about all the rest of them like the
Hmm.
Witkoffs. And I did.
Hmm.
You could look at all of it. You could take 6 months ago. I wrote about the connection between Witkoff and the Russian oligarchy, the Russian gangsters, how he, even went on record vouching for one of them, Galupchik, to be able to get an apartment. And then when he got indicted, Witkoff said he had no idea who the guy was. He did his friend a favor. Who
Yeah.
would that friend be? Probably, I'm saying to you. So,
So, but listen, let me just kind of back up here because listen, is that Princess Peaches? Is that Princess Peaches again? There you go. I love her.
when she hears this type of stuff, she gets nervous. So
She gets jacked up.
she's my emotional support dog, guys. So I'll
Look
get
at
this.
that, all the kisses from Princess Peaches. But listen, I want to kind of back that up because you're not talking about this from a perspective of your time with the Trump regime from 2016 until what time they summarily had you politically arrested, tried, and sent to jail for an extended period of time. You're from New York. Like you grew up with these guys. You know who these guys were. You got a book on Steve Witkoff. You've got a book on Donald Trump. You've got a book on the cabal and the shadow diplomacy team that he's running right now. And so I think that's worth mentioning here because you've known these guys for decades.
Yeah, well, I've run in those circles, and that's why it's not only them, but the people, the oligarchs from Russia. You gotta understand. For those of you that haven't read my book or didn't see the documentary, that's where I mean, where does my relationship come from? In 1989, before the fall of the Soviet Union, I traveled there when I was 18 years old on behalf of a lot of the Russian. Ukrainian, Russian, Soviet Union connections that couldn't travel, that were here in the United States, didn't have the visa, and sent me there. And that's kind of like what I was telling the story when I first got to Russia. Some of the first places I visited was Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, some of these places where a lot of these oligarchs and criminal activity, was because this was still the old Soviet Union. It was still, it wasn't the fall yet. I was there during the fall. I was there
Mhm.
actually during when the tanks drove onto the White Square. I was there where Yeltsin became, Gorbachev got kidnapped. Yeltsin, I was there on the Red Square in Hotel Moscow.
You're there where Yeltsin standing on top of the tank going,
Oh
"Fuck you
yeah,
guys."
yeah. I was there. I was 19. I was 19 years old, and yeah, I was there. That was it. But I mean, I grew up quickly, and then I, you know, was also instrumental in a lot of them that came to the United States, like all these hockey players from Pavel Bure, Valery Kaminsky, all these guys. I helped them with their visas, with their, they traveled through my company through their L1s at that time. I mean, I was very intricate involved in that whole. I first of all I was in New York, but also because of my relationships in the former Soviet Union, and that's why I knew and know a lot of these same individuals that eventually became, oligarchs. Some of them are no longer here. Some of them have been killed, passed away.
Mhm.
A lot of them, so yeah, that's
Okay, so
why.
so you're not just intimately familiar with the Witkoffs of the world, but who they're doing business with because you have not only lived there, grown up there, you've worked with these guys. So let's get to Kirill Dmitriev, 2017. Dmitriev, 2017. He meets with Kushner.
By
They
the way,
okay, yeah.
I'm going to give a little special to all your audience. Keep your fingers crossed. So I've been on the phone with Pierce Morgan's booker
Mhm.
or producer. and I put out an official challenge to Kirill Dmitriev for us to do on Pierce Morgan for him to come because he's supposed to be on there shortly. I said, why don't you bring me on as a surprise guest and we will have a real show. So keep your fingers crossed. They really like the idea. We'll see what happens. But go ahead, man.
You, Piers Morgan, and Kirill Dmitriev.
Oh, you ain't even ready. Keep your fingers crossed.
Are
If
you going to show
anybody,
up with the cemetery map of where all the bodies are buried and the relationship
oh,
between
no,
Kirill Dmitriev?
you're not even ready. Kirill Dimitri is going to take a shit. But for those of you that live in London, we have a lot of UK and everything. Definitely reach out to,
Yeah. All right.
Pierce Morgan's
Yeah,
team and
yeah, yeah.
say,
Send
have
his
Lev,
booker a
yeah,
note. Send his
yeah, say, write it
inundate
up and
them.
say, have Lev on, bring Lev on. They're already on, but I think a little bit more push, I know, because they
We
might
get
be
it done.
scared. Yeah, but it'll
Okay.
be a good one. Yeah,
Okay,
but go
so
ahead.
yeah, I'm going to get on a big email campaign as soon as I'm done, but I want to get back to that relationship. And so Witkoff, he meets with Dmitriev. They get 2 billion. Kushner gets a couple billion. They turn a blind eye to Khashoggi. That's another whole conversation as well. And game on. Now you're thick as thieves, and this thing is hatched in 2017. Everybody's aware of Russia's intention of going into Ukraine. So bring me up to speed about because my understanding is that not only was the laundered proposal in that 28-point peace plan not a direct, like it was directly from the Kremlin. It was handed to Witkoff. It was then translated using Google AI, which you and I went over in Coffee and Tea this week, which everybody can watch here and over at Lev's channel. Lev remembers, give him a sub right now. And my understanding is that this was the Miami peace plan. That this happened at an oligarch-owned hotel in Miami Beach under the cover of darkness, where Kirill comes in his white linen suit, and he's like, "Here's what I got," and Witkoff's like, "Yes, sir, no problem, sir." And by the way, do you remember Jared Kushner? He's going to help us with that. Is that a decent understanding of what happened and how we got here?
I love the way you portray it, but that's, I mean, exactly what happened, except the little differences. They're very, they know each other, all those. So when he comes in there, it's a team. They're not, it's not a threatening environment. Nobody's there to, yes, if they need to, or the Russians, if they need to put the pressure on or something, it's not, they remind the Witkoff and Kushner's about the stuff they have about Trump and stuff like that. But also, don't forget the number one thing that they're discussing right now, and this is why it's important for everybody to understand why now you're seeing Jared Kushner come in, because you're coming to see the end of the game, and in their mind, it's the end of the game, and now it's time to divvy up the pot. It's time to make money, just like you saw what same thing in the Middle East. You didn't hear Jared Kushner until the very end, right when the deals already were cut. Now it's time to come in there, and you just haven't saw the final result of the deals that were cut, but we're still going to see the remnants of what happened in the Middle East, what was done there play out later on. Those were all still band-aids and a little put on. Same thing here. Basically, Witkoff got it to this point behind the scenes. It was Kushner was dealing with all of this. They got it to a point where now because a Trump can't stop all the release of all the Epstein files. He understands that there's a major push and some of it might start leaking because you also understand that they clearly understand they could only scrub one part of it. There's always another end to the other communication. So if there's an email between you and me and they have that email, they could scrub that email, but there's two parties that still have knowledge or have a copy of that email or that communication or that, so there's only a certain part they could go. And that's why you're seeing push right now and deadlines and this 28 peace plan to be able to get this Ukraine basically done and sealed and moved on. So this way, there's nothing more that could, controversy. They could put a stick into it because you gotta understand, Russia is on their knees themselves. Russia is their economy is that shit. We don't talk about the media doesn't talk about Trump doesn't talk about it, none of our administration administration mention it, but Russia's oil supplies are down. Ukraine even yesterday hit them extremely hard all over the place. So this is a war going on in both directions. The only difference is you don't have civilian deaths on Russia's side because Ukraine's not targeting civilian people. In
Yeah.
Ukrainian side, we got civilian kids, that are dying on a daily basis because Russia can't win the war, and that's another indicator of why Russia's not winning the war. Because if they would be winning the war, they would need to do terroristic acts and hit civilian power. They would be able to keep pushing the line further and further and taking more property. But as you could see in the actual war, they're at a stalemate. They're not moving the line. They're standing in the same place they were, basically, and that's why they need to keep doing the infrastructure, putting death and destruction onto the majority of the population to be able to bring them to their knees, and which what they're trying to do.
So they're just trying to, like, Trump and Putin, right at this point in time, are trying to outrun the clock. They're trying to outrun the Epstein clock. They're trying to outrun the EU
Mhm.
clock. They're trying to outrun the solidarity clock, because it's time now. And this is when Kushner comes in. Okay, we've got these guys to a point where Ukraine has the framework of something that they can live with. Now, I want to talk about that, because it's not just the divvying up of the pot, natural resources, oil, natural gas, rare earth minerals, and borders. This is also in my mind, and correct me if I'm wrong. This is also about the collapse of Russia. That Putin's desperately trying to fucking avoid. To your point, right? And so the question I would have for you is competing narratives that came out late last night and today. Of course, the White House with that Trumpian, it's all good. We got a peace plan. It's gonna be great. It's gonna happen over Thanksgiving. We're gonna welcome Zelensky to Mar-a-Lago, and we're gonna get this whole thing done. And then if you talk to anybody with Zelensky's team's like, we got a fucking long way to go. And if you talk to anybody in the Russian Federation, and again, these are pathological liars as well. Lavrov basically said, we haven't seen it. And if it deviates from our goals of denazifying Ukraine, we're not fucking signing it. So who's lying here?
Let me put it this way: they're all lying, and they're all telling the truth. Because in reality, America, the only people that are saying that this is a peace plan is the United States media. The Ukrainians have not come out and said we've agreed to any peace plan. They're saying yes, we've made some changes. We made some changes to the point to be able, what's it called, do this thing. We've been able to, I'm saying to you, make certain changes to the thing, but they know that A, Russia's not accepting it,
Yeah.
and B, and B, again, even these changes are like, to a certain degree. So I don't know. When you say peace plan, it's again, it was a Russian wish list. It was a Russian plan that was basically sent over and given to what's it called, the Ukrainians. It was shoved down their throat. He was threatened by Putin to Trump to. He has a deadline to Zelensky to accept it.
Hmm.
Simultaneously, what you're not hearing about is there's still, they're pushing with this sham investigation into Zelensky's and criminal activities because they're trying to also do a regime change. And one of the reasons why they're saying they want to have Zelensky here by right now by Thanksgiving or in the next couple of days is because to put the full court press on them to be able
Hmm.
to basically like it or not type of take a deal or not because that's where it's at. Because you got to understand that's why also you have Venezuela right now. A lot of this plays into effect because that's why you got Kushner there, because who controls all the oil in the world? You got the number is you got Saudi Arabia, you got Russia, you got the United States and Venezuela. So if you these are now, if these four countries align and they control the market, I mean, just think about what is really playing out. Look at the relationships that are being played out. Look at the countries that are being taken over. Look at the conversations that are being done of Nord Stream 2 being realigned, taking over, so this way now all of a sudden the US, just like Trump wants to be And like, Mr. Peacemaker, just he's gonna part of Peacemaker, he's gonna control the pipeline. He's gonna say, so I'm gonna control what the energy is gonna be Russia's pipeline, but America is gonna control, the brokerage of it's going into Europe and making sure so this way who needs Ukraine, who needs the pipe. So there's
But
a lot
that's that.
behind the scene.
But that's kind of one of the really magical parts of this fucked up peace plan is that in it, Donald Trump in the United States, Donald Trump proper, is named the basically the viceroy of who gets what in Ukraine without the consent of the Ukrainian people. Same thing like his Gaza peace plan, which, by the way, I don't know if anybody's paying attention to the fucking ceasefire in Gaza. Non existent, never happened, never was. It was a fucking lie. They're just going at it again. And he's been named the viceroy of Gaza in that peace plan that is no longer in place and ceasefire that was never a real fucking ceasefire to begin with. And I think that those are the little things that a lot of people miss, Lev, is where he puts himself in the center of every business transaction that has anything to do with anything he claims to be a peace plan or a stoppage of war, right? Like that's really the fucking part here that a lot of people aren't paying attention to is not only does he desperately need to win, and we'll get to this in just a second, because his base is crumbling, MAGA is toast, they want his fucking head on a plate, but this guy is not just trying to outrun the clock, he's still trying to fill his fucking pockets up on the way out. And it's incorrigible to fucking watch, Lev.
Well, that's part of the whole plan is to how, making money. Because if you take a look again, why do you look at the players involved? You don't see State Department players involved like Rubio. Why? Because when Rubio goes to speak to Lavrov, Rubio and Lavrov are not, they would be scared shitless to mention some kind of money transaction, some kind of business transaction, because they're official diplomats. If God forbid that gets taped, so it would be the biggest scandal, everything. But when you got people like Witkoff, who's a real estate guy, when you got people like Jared Kushner, who's a real estate guy, meeting with Kirill Dmitriev, who's a sovereign wealth fund guy, and if they all of a sudden have a conversation about, okay, so I'll give you an example, because I
Mm-hmm.
used to be like that. Witkoff, how these conversations go. So they'll talk. Let's say Witkoff came there. Okay, gave him, not Witkoff. I mean, Dmitriev came there, gave them the 28-point plan. These idiots took it, put it away, and that was the quick part. Then the pleasantries and the conversation started going around about the different possibilities once Russia and America's relationship starts getting better. How wealthy they're going to get, how the carving up of the world becomes. Because remember, Russia's involved in a lot of different parts through the black market, but they're involved in cryptocurrency, very big players in cryptocurrency, oil, gas, natural resources, minerals. There's a lot of different plays that Russia plays a big role in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why this is what the conversations are about. It's they say, and then you got Tweedledee and Tweedledum, which is Eric Trump and Don Jr., who are running around with Steve Witkoff's son, Zach Witkoff, who's the real brains behind the scenes over there. That is actually, following in their. It's like they're putting the seeds out, and then these guys are coming up, picking him up, cutting deals all over the world and accumulating, just tremendous wealth, billions and billions and billions of dollars, in matters of months, like literally, and that's what's taking place right now.
10 billion in 10 months, $1 billion a month. That is the, and if you don't count the crypto collapse, which is killing the Trump crime family at the moment. We've got this fake ceasefire deal that's being touted, but it doesn't dull the fucking awful day yesterday. You and I were in the middle of a spaces with Malcolm Nance and a few other guys yesterday when the news broke that James Comey's, and what a Monday, James Comey's indictment got tossed out effectively because Trump illegally appointed an insurance lawyer to handle the case, and she tried to stook the grand jury. That was tossed. The statute of limitations is over. Bondi comes out, whose legal career should be buried next to Ivanka Trump, if you ask me. But whatever. I don't know if you can get a tax break for that too. But like we literally just watched him get punched in the face. Sorry, dude. Uh, you're gonna start laughing. That's a whole other conversation. But anyway, I don't want to have that right now. But what we're watching is a repudiation. No one's fucking afraid of the guy anymore. The Constitution's starting to stand up for itself. The judiciary actually is working for America. And Pam Bondi comes out yesterday. This is the part that I wanted to ask you about. And she's like, "Oh, we're going to appeal it." She can't.
Mm.
Like she can't.
Well,
And
well,
I want to know what's going on inside the Trump White House because that was a fucking nuclear disaster for them yesterday.
Well, I welcome all of you to go read my Substack I wrote last night before I went to sleep because it was a disaster. I mean, literally, first of all, you need to, again, I always tell everybody watch the actions, forget the words, forget about, like, right, yes, she came out and said that, but when did she come out and say, she, who was the first person that came out and said that? It was Caroline Levitt, because when Trump found out and got the message, he blew a gasket. He started screaming, yelling. There was ketchup all over the White House walls. They're still cleaning it up today. And he sent Caroline Levitt out there and said, we're going to appeal it. We're going to do this. So she goes out there and she comes out there and says, oh, this was a liberal judge, which it was not. It was a Trump appointed judge. But, again, it's it's a liberal
Do they
judge.
even check before they go with that one? Like that's
It doesn't matter. It's just because because let me explain to you, because most people don't get to hear me and you. Most people, there are more people that will watch her say it was a liberal judge, and they'll assume that, because most people don't imagine. Well, nowadays we're getting more and more better. People are realizing that there's so much bullshit and everybody's lying, that we should do our due diligence. But that's the typical. She comes out and says it, and everybody like takes it for what it is, because the media doesn't stop her and says, well, wait a second, is that really Caroline? I don't think that's really the case over there. But she runs with it. And then she comes out and says, you know what? We're going to appeal it. We're going to appeal it. We're going to do it. We're going to do that. Ba ba boom, ba beam, ba bam. And she goes and does it.
we're the law and order presidency.
Right. So, but again, that's not the attorney general. This is nobody. Then a few hours later, Pam Bondi's giving a press conference on something totally different, on like Memphis or North Carolina or some ISIS. And all of a sudden, she's asked a question. She's like, well, wait a second. Like, what do you, she's like, well, and then she word for word basically says, what Caroline, this is the attorney general. She says, well, we're going to appeal it. We're gonna go out and we're gonna make sure, so you could, and that's what I wrote in my Substack letter. You could see that, and this is a very important part that came out in Trump's trial, in the New York trial, and that I keep talking about. Michael keeps talking about. One of the things is Trump is a micromanager. When you expect most billion-dollar corporations, you have thousands of people or hundreds of people that are running and carrying out different things, and mostly, the leaders are, yeah, they might be workaholics, but they oversee like a general and not micro. Man, Trump, if you look at his organization, it was me, Peter Pan, Bobby, Wexler, and Michael Cohen, and and together we do, and he made sure to sign off on that every check. He made sure to see who's getting $20 for lunch, if the guy cabbie got tipped too much. This is what Donald Trump is. He's a micromanager. So now he's micromanaging the DOJ. He's basically now, it's not Pam Bondi's not running it. There's nobody running
Perfect.
it. It's Donald Trump is basically now running the DOJ, and that is why you saw the Comey case get dismissed. Because I guarantee you, as evil and as well, you could call Pam Bondi a lot of things, but she's not a moron, and she knows she has enough knowledge that she would, if Trump did not put pressure and put his Social Security lawyer, or I'm sorry, insurance lawyer, whatever lawyer in there at
Same
the last
difference.
second to do it. That's why they weren't doing it, because they didn't have, that's why Trump went and said, you saw the deal. He said, you know what? Step all aside. Lindsay, you're next up. Come on down. You're the next contestant on the show, and boom. It's like a reality show. You go in there and you go do it. Don't worry about it. Just put it in there. We'll deal with it later. And the great thing is, and I'll tell you, and it's good to see, and that's why I wrote about it also. And this is part of what's very important, is that we have justices that are stepping up to him. People are realizing it. And not only that, but I also wrote in my Substack, which is very important. You guys need to read that Trump is right now like a rat in a corner,
Yeah.
because he's also, Marjorie Greene is not the only one. There's others that are about to start leaving. Republican congressmen and congresswomen, they're about to retire, about to leave, about to all of a sudden mysteriously go on long vacations and not be there during voting. This slim majority that they have is going to turn into where, as against as I am about Hakeem Jeffries, I talk about he's no leader and what's it called, but he's gonna basically step into it by accidentally get the gavel. I have a feeling before we even get to 2026 with
Mm,
some of the stuff I'm hearing. So that's why it's extremely important for those of you that live in the United States, for those of you that have friends and family that keep the pressure on. This is the
mm.
time where you need to keep calling, keep sending letters, keep doing the emails, because these congressmen and congresswomen and senators are really, really worried because they're seeing the writing on the wall. They're seeing Trump's erratic behavior. They're starting to see his unravel, and the fact that breakup with Marjorie Taylor Greene was bigger than you could even imagine, because
Yeah.
it's like, when the dam breaks, you need the first few rocks to come before the water starts. Right now, we have those cracks, and the water is starting to push, and it's pushing harder and harder. And one more crack, and I can't break the name of the person here yet, but maybe we'll be breaking the news of the next congressman that's going to be leaving, and that dam is what makes the water break through.
That is such a great fucking analogy. Everybody needs to go and read Lev's piece about how Trump is a caged rat. It's his last input on his Substack essay, levermembers.substack.com. If you go to Lever Members, you can check it out there, levermembers.com as well. And I want to get to that exodus because, I heard a number yesterday was like between 50 and 100 former or current GOP members in the House and the Senate plan on either retiring, resigning, or as you pointed out, just not showing up for fucking work for the next little while. And it's not just about the blast radius with the Epstein files. Yes, it has a lot to do with it. It's not just the fact that his polling numbers are like 36%. Like he is so fucking underwater in every capacity that every single person that's lined up behind him for the past several years is going, well, what about me? But then there was this other report that came out this week where certain senior GOP members leaked to, I believe it was Political, if I'm not mistaken. It could have been Jacobin, but they leaked to a well intentioned media outlet this week that Donald Trump treats everybody in his administration who's not part of his inner circle like shit. He treats them all so poorly, and his regime treats them poorly. And MAGA Mike has let this happen. And there's this undercurrent of hatred of everybody that's not in his cabinet, not in his inner circle, doesn't have favor with Donald Trump because of how he and his regime have treated everybody else. And there's a massive revolt that's being planned. And that could include, and everybody is their own fucking witness at this point in time. Like if you've supported this guy and now you've got this crisis of conscience because you're going to lose your fucking job, or you're going to be too close to Donald Trump when the Epstein files fall, that's one thing. But allowing this mistreatment of everybody in his GOP seems to be driving that whole, resentment, resignation movement more than anything else.
Yeah, well, first of all, just a little correction. Politico reposted Punchbowl broke the
Punchbowl,
story
yes. Yeah.
with me. Literally, we were like 15 minutes apart, confirming so me and Punchbowl broke the story. They actually came out, and then Politico, I think, came out afterwards. And look, I don't know if it's going to be 50 to 100. That's a huge number. That would, that would be tremendous. I can't even think about that, but I could tell you just from people that have people that I've spoken to, that actual congressmen and people in the that it puts you this between the special elections that we have coming up, and between some of these, like I said, player congressmen, they're going to sit out or announce their retirement. And look, January, Hakeem Jeffries might be able to get the gavel, and folks, we might have an incredible New Year. I don't wanna even like I'm scared to talk about
Jinx it.
jinx ourselves about because of what's going on. But
It's
to
huge.
keep it, but I'll tell you, but to keep it going, to make sure that it really happens, we just got to keep the pressure on.
Yeah.
We just got to keep doing everything. Just think about everything we talk about every single day. Besides giving you guys information, besides telling you about what's happening behind the scenes, one of the things that we constantly talk about, as I feel like sometimes maybe it annoys some of you, and sometimes you might hear, "Oh, here it comes again," but it's the most important thing out of why we do this is to tell you to go out there and to make sure to remind you is to make because it's very easy to get complacent. It's very easy to start feeling good when things start working out and the new start cycle starts coming in your favor. Trust me when I tell you, that is a time when you got to go that extra mile, to go a little extra harder and make sure that, and that's why we come out here and remind you to make sure you go out there and keep putting the pressure with those emails, calling your congressmen, senators, making sure you make those phone calls, put commenting on social media, restacking our Substacks that we do here, because now more than ever, because that's how the dam breaks. And then once we get our democracy back, once we get Trump, at least I'll tell you this much: once we get at least control of the House and the Senate, where we have back some accountability, once we could stop this madhouse, and then we could take a deep breath, we could relax for a second and say, okay, we've done it. But till then, I want you to feel good about yourself. Absolutely, I want you to enjoy it, accept it. That part of power of energy is to accept the good along with the bad. So I want you to accept the good. This is a great thing, but just don't be
Complacent. Yeah.
complacent and assume that, oh, now somebody else is going to do it, or somebody else. Because remember, we still don't have no leadership in the Democratic Party. Just like I said, he might become de facto leader, and we'll see where that takes us afterwards also, because there's a lot of moving parts. But like I said, the good part about it is, yeah, there is chaos going in the Trump administration. There's a lot of moving parts, especially with this Ukraine stuff that's happening. There's also a lot of moving parts with Venezuela that is taking place at the same time
Hey, speaking of
simultaneously.
Venezuela, I don't know if you heard this, but their largest oil refinery plant just exploded the other day.
No shit. No, I did not hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
was mentioned by a Columbia University professor at the end of the G20 summit, who was like, amazing how the biggest oil processing plant in Venezuela just exploded days before an impending invasion of Venezuela. And going back to that, and that's been real quiet. Nobody's really talked about it. If you Google it, you can have a look at it. But it's fascinating because all of these distractions point to one thing, and that's, as you pointed out, the panic in the White House. It's not just the fact that his own party fucking hates the guy and he's going to take them down with him and nobody wants to be around him. It's what he is doing willy nilly around the world, whether it's Caribbean boats, whether it's divvying up resources in Ukraine, he's got no fucking business doing. To your point, and to that point as well, Lev, you're 100% right. You've been 100% right this whole time. Now is not the time to be complacent. Now is the time to subscribe to Lev Remembers. Now is the time to donate to his growth fund on GoFundMe. If you could pipe that into the chat, or if anybody else could put it in the
Should,
chat,
yeah. If somebody
that'd be
has a
great.
GoFundMe, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If you could put that in the chat, that would be incredible. Because all of the work that Lev has done, outside of being heroic, outside of him being an award-winning whistleblower, this is a dude that has been right about everything, and you could set your clock to it weeks in advance. And we're here again. And so being able to share this, being able to subscribe to Lev, being able to hit those hearts, hammer that little box, share this with as many people as humanly possible. Because one of the things that someone said the other day, remember we had Fran on? I talked about it at the end of our show the other day, Coffee and
Mhm.
Tea. Fran was like beaming with excitement because she said she listens to you, she listens to us, and she comes here and is a paid subscriber here because we offer her clarity as to how she can read the tea leaves, what other people aren't talking about. That is the importance of my friend Lev Parnas. He is one of the most important, like I said yesterday, He's the head MAGA sausage maker, the OG of what goes into the MAGA sausage. And he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. So please, everybody, if you can do us a favor, continue to grow this community. Continue to subscribe, continue to share, free or paid, doesn't matter. The paid stuff obviously keeps us in the game, and we couldn't be more grateful for all of the support. But we're building a bigger boat so we can not only amplify the messages that we talk about here and the information that we talk about, we can continue to affirm your values. We can continue to give you the information that you need. You're not getting anywhere else because everybody that should be reporting on this ship isn't. And the reason why they're not doing it is because they're scared to death of the world's worst president. They're scared to death of a fascist dictator. They're scared to death of a fucking dying con man. And we want you to have your country back. I'm in Canada, lives in Boca. And I have to tell everybody, we have never been more united as two countries because of things like this, and it's only possible because of you, my friends. And so please subscribe to Lever members. Please go and get his book, Shadow Diplomacy, if you get a chance to do it. Please go and get some of his merch. He's got some really cool No King shirts, by the way. I think I'm going to order one of those for myself. And make sure
we're gonna make some Dean and Lev coffee shirts.
Yeah. Coffee with tea with Lev and Dean.
Yeah, and all of it helps profit. I'm saying to you, it gives us all of the things go to help move the movement. So it's always to donate. But I also wanted to do while we're on the subject, I want to do a quick shout out too, because what we've also set up is I'm putting it in here in the what's it called, chat. I put it up there. If you saw, it's called the email is levpttp at proton.me. If you could put that in there, Dean. Also, it's LEVP, P's and Peter, T's and Tom, T's and Tom, P's and Peter at proton.me. So what that is we set up that for volunteers. And I just wanted to shout out, we have some incredible subscriber volunteers that have joined our team, because part of the GoFundMe is to go out there and get professionals, buy airtime, but also there's hard work happening from volunteers, local, there are you guys out there. And I just want to give a shout out to Joanne, Bill, Lori, Peggy, Linda, Molly, Jeanette, Lynn, Lisa, Kim, Cheech, Amber, and a bunch of others that we're going to be shouting out, because God bless you guys, because all of you go out there and are now working behind the scenes. This movement is growing tremendously. So I say all the time, for those of you that can, please go contribute, because the number one thing, finances, and this is the world we live in, where we don't have no billionaires, corporate media sponsors. That's why we need as much finance as we can. So do whatever you can. For those of you that can't, and go out there and join the volunteer group. We're going to be coming to different parts of the country, different states, different counties, different, when we do the town halls, when we do all of this stuff, we come out there, make sure you support, you make sure you do, everything, because the number one thing, like I said, we're going to get stronger now, even more powerful, because remember, it's not just beating Donald Trump, folks. It's getting back our country, because right now Donald Trump has infused into our country a very sick movement that's being led by Russell Vought, being led by Stephen Miller. That's part of Project 2025. And even once we, indict them, even when we get rid of them, he's caused so much damage that it's going to take us some time to not only get our country back, not only to unite our own American citizens, and just think about, but uniting also our friends and allies, like the Canadians, like the Europeans, like all of the cups. So we're gonna go through, exactly, Amy, a rebuild stage, and that's why to be able to be there, we have to be able now push and be stronger than better. And the louder we are, the more aggressive we are, the more we go out there and do it. It's just like, when I was playing football, Dean, my coach, I'll never forget, used to say to, just when you'd be laying there and you can't even push anymore, he'd say, that's when you got to go a little harder. That's when you push a little harder. That's what makes the difference between winning that Super Bowl, winning that championship, and in our case, winning our democracy, folks.
Protecting democracy, exactly. Decapping fascism. I mean, listen, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's why I fucking love working with you and talking to you. I put out a post and we'll wrap it up here. But everybody go and subscribe, please. And if you feel it in your heart to subscribe to deanblundell.substack.com, be
Absolutely, it
greatly
better.
appreciative. But recently I was offered a couple of jobs working for mainstream media, and about 8 months ago, same time as you, I joined Substack, and 8 months ago, someone had offered me that job working for mainstream media to regurgitate other people's bullshit. I would have said, "Okay, yeah, that sounds great." It was a weird time in my life. It was like felt like I was screaming into the void. I know you've been there. We've all been there, right? And I got an email from somebody when I turned down the last opportunity in a nice way. I said, "I'm just not interested, thanks." And he sent me an email and he was like, "Don't you want to legitimize your work by working for a legitimate brand?" And I sent him a note back. And I effectively said, "Listen, the most legitimate you can be is to have individuals, human beings, invest in you, legitimize you." And they've done that over at Substack. You have done that for myself. You've done that for Lev, and it continues. And because you've legitimized us, because you've come with us on this journey, because you're investing in us, we feel it really responsible to be stewards of not just your time and your investment in us if you're a paid subscriber, but to give you information that can help you with your day, to act as Sherpas. And it's also given us the ability to say no to stuff like that. It's also given us the ability to be in your lives on a daily basis. You've saved us. You have made this possible. And so I cannot thank you enough. And I put out a note thanking everybody. Please feel free to go and read it, because one of the honors of my professional life has been having the legitimacy of tens of thousands of people say, "We believe you. We trust you with our minds. We trust you with our information." And that is something I will always honor. And I can speak on behalf of my friend Lev Parnas, American hero, Lev Parnas, is
Mhm.
that is why he is here as well. So please go and subscribe to Lev, subscribe to myself as well. Continue the good fight. We are not going anywhere. Share this with as many people as humanly possible. And to Lev's point, we're here to kneecap fascism, protect democracy, and that's going to continue past Donald Trump. This is a disease and a cult that has infested North America, that has stolen the American dream from 370 million people. So don't stop. As Lev's football coach pointed out, just a little bit more. Always, just a little bit more, because we're here with you. Thanks for doing this, my friend, as
Uh,
always.
Dean, God bless you, brother. For those of you that don't subscribe to Dean, I mean, there's no other better news show to be able to get you the news the way it is, inside out, sources, but also give it with that light heart, because very few people can make me laugh the way Dean can make me laugh. So I can tell you guys, it's an important way to be able to take this all in, especially it's going to be we're going to start changing the news cycle, and it's going to get bigger and better. And I want to, before I forget, because sometimes you go out. There's two special also people out there that I really want to do a shout out to. One of them is Eileen. You know who you are in North Carolina for doing everything you can behind the scenes, but especially to Jay. Jay is a subscriber. She's not only a paid subscriber, she's the leader of our volunteer unit. She's somebody that's incredible, that got put into my life, into our movement here, that is behind the scenes, is doing so much, that one day, hopefully, when it's better times and we're not fearful for, you'll be able to get the credit and what that you deserve. But for now, Jay, you know who you are. I want to say we love you. Thank you for everything you do, and continue doing it. So just wanted to end it off on that, my brother.
Thank you, my dear friend. That is Lev Parnas. Lev remembers, go and subscribe right now. Give him all your support, all your love. Share all of his content. He's always right. Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, brother.
Take care. Lev Parnas, ladies and gentlemen, on the weekend roundup. Nice little spin there. Thank you. I meant what I said. So does Lev. You guys amaze me. You humble me. And we owe you. So we're not going anywhere. How does that sound? and we'll build a bigger boat with you, for you, because we are you. 25% off annual memberships at deanblundell.substack.com. Never pay more than that. Founding members only pay once, never pay again. And $8 a month monthly. And if you're free, I love you. Stay here. Come with us. As always, thank you for giving us your time today. Thank you for investing in us. We won't let you down. I promise. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to share this with as many people as humanly possible. And don't forget to love each other today. See you at 3 o'clock for the 5 stack with Zev. Bye now.